Doing things in the world, even if it's meritorious deeds, is much easier than to practice day in, day out. And that's why we choose to go the easy way, most of us. Just to, give the monks, Pindapat, look after the need of the monks, do this for the monks, do that for the monks. They're all meritorious deeds. But the difficulties of cutting out one's own kilesas is so difficult. So one looks for other things that are much easier. But these easier things, just promise us some good karma, some good result. Whereas cutting down on the defilement will produce happiness, and in the end will lead us to freedom. Freedom from dukkha. And I mean, that is all what we aspire to, isn't it? I mean, we don't want to be for the rest of our life's slaves. Nobody in this world wants to be a slave of another nation or of its own people. But we prefer, to do other things than to free us of the slavery of Avijja. Strange. When we fight wars for freedom, and we have done that, I mean, from the moment we entered this earth till up to now, we have always fought wars. I mean, Europe had just only 50 years of more or less peace, West Europe. Before it was constant fight. Either the Germans fought the French, or the French fought the Germans, or the French fought the English, or whatever. Constant. There was no peaceful time, maybe for 5 or 10 years, and there was a lack of soldiers, because they all died in battle. And then, the revolution, the French Revolution, or other revolutions, to get the freedom, to get the free of the kingdom or the slavery of the noble ones. I mean, they fought for their lives. They didn't care about, losing a leg or losing their lives. They wanted their freedom. They wanted their bodily freedom, or sometimes their personal freedom to say what they think that they wanted to say. And now we are spiritual warriors. And the moment it comes, to fight for our freedom, we so readily, easily give up. Why? Because it's so hard. Why? Because we think, we fight ourselves, and that is not fair. But if we think about, fighting the bad things within us, then it's okay. Like in Germany, we say, fighting our inner dog. I don't know if the British have an expression for that. So what is it? What makes it so difficult to go on? I mean, now once we determine we become Buddhists, let's become Buddhists. But Buddhists in the real sense, not just conform Buddhists. Like we say, yes, we believe in the Buddha's teaching. Just like the Christians say we believe in Jesus' teaching, or in the Catholic Church. I mean, that doesn't help them. It doesn't help the Buddhists, it doesn't help the Christians to avoid hell. It helps the kilesas to keep them under their control. And becoming a Buddhist, is becoming a follower of the Lord Buddha. And if we want to follow the Lord Buddha, then we have to follow the path that He laid out for us. And be it as lay people, when we want to live in this world, if we don't want to end the cycle of rebirth, then He laid out the 5 precepts. If we want to do a little bit more, then we can do meritorious deeds. But if we want to get rid of constantly being born and reborn, and nothing guarantees us, unless we enter the stream, that we fall down to the lower world. Nothing. Because we don't know what we have done in our previous life. We really do not know. We just can't imagine what we have done in our previous life. And what kind of karma is waiting behind the mountains. The moment we are dead, we will see it. And then we get scared. But now, of course, we don't see it, so we don't get scared. We think we are good Buddhists. Okay, everything is fine. The moment we die, wow. I didn't expect that. So let's try. If it's a value to you, if you really want to do something worthwhile with your life, try at least to enter into something that is safe. Enter the stream. And then put the rest of if you really wish for that, then put the rest of your life into that direction. Every kind of effort, every moment of your time, put that into consideration. I want to reach a safe place. I want to reach a safe haven. I don't want to be a nutshell in the oceans, constantly swimming up and swimming down, thrown up and thrown down. Do we really want to be? The moment we enter the stream, we enter a safe haven, because we know from that time on it takes us at most 7 lives to reach Nibbana. If you think this is worthwhile, then put all your effort into it. And once you reach it, do whatever you please to. It's just like with a degree, it's just like going to university. We don't speculate before we go to university what we all can do with our degrees in the next 30 years we spend in expectation of our degrees but never study. We first go to university for 4 years or 5 years or 6 years, we study and finish the degree and then do whatever we please to. That's the way it works in the world. We cannot live off this. We cannot live off by telling our employee, yes, I'm going to university and finish my master degree, so please pay me in advance. Nobody believes you. So I just mention it from time to time. And to remind you of what is important in your life. If that is something, you really value, you really feel important, then put any kind of effort. Every moment you have, and especially when you're here, every moment you have, put into practice. Practice samadhi, practice the sila, the higher sila when you are here, the 8 precepts, not only the 5 precepts, and practice investigation. Investigation is wanting to understand what is really going on. Wanting to understand why we are the way we are. What makes us tick? What makes us the way we are? What makes us think in this way? What makes us act in this way? What makes us speak up in this way? That's what we want to understand. And not only that we want to understand, but we also want to evaluate. If that kind of action leads to good results, or if that kind of action leads to bad results, if it leads to bad results, get rid of it. If it leads to good results, okay, do more of it. That's what we want to understand. But at the moment we act just like completely mindless people. Not knowing actually what we are doing, not knowing why we are doing. Just thinking this is good because we heard it is good. People tell us, if you do a lot of meritorious deeds to the monks, you will come into heaven. Not necessarily. Might be. I mean, there are quite a few prerequisites. Generosity is one of the prerequisites. Respect is another prerequisite. Gratitude is another prerequisite to come into the heavenly world. And of course, keeping the 5 sila. And practicing samadhi because they spend a lot of time in samadhi up there in the heavenly world. So thinking about that, what is worthwhile in our life, and then acting according to it and not forgetting it. And if you want to end the stream, all what is necessary is to cut down the first 3 fetters. The first fetter, that there is doubt. Doubt that there is heaven, doubt that there is hell. Doubt that there is karma, doubt there are results of karma. That there is good results of good karma and there are bad results of bad. And of course doubting that there is a way out of dukkha. Doubting that, we don't even go to Dhamma. These are the major doubts. And of course it is essential also rebirth. Not believing in rebirth, why would we even come here? What is the whole purpose of it? If I die and completely vanish after this life, then there wouldn't be any need to, for me to change. Why? Why in the hell? Just let's go on. Just let's have some fun. Make the most of it. Who cares what is happening after this? That part of you cares. That is repose. Because he has to suffer. So that is the first fetter. The second fetter is keeping the 5 precepts, not fiddling with it. In English it's translated as fiddling with rites and ritual. What a kind of strange translation. It's just keeping the 5 precepts, not today keeping it and tomorrow breaking it and then keeping it again and not breaking it again and keeping it again. That's the precept. That is the fetter. Fiddling with precepts. Not keeping them and then keeping them. It has nothing to do with rites and rituals. I don't know where this translation has come from. That's clear. So from today on, we keep the 5 precepts. That's it. Point. Stop. Yut. Just like in Dhamma Yut. Dhamma and nothing else.
Yut and Yut? Different word.
Yut and Yut.
Yut means stop, Yut means walk.
But the third one, the third fetter is a little bit more difficult. The third fetter is, and that of course needs already not only our samadhi, not practicing only sila and samadhi, but also practicing investigation. And we have to investigate the body. And we have to understand that the chitta and the body are 2 different things. That is the third fetter. So we practice. I mean, there are many ways of practicing it. I mean, you can see the loathsomeness of your body until you get so disgusted, and you know that there's something, that is not this body. Or you can get out of your body and look at your body and see that something is looking at your body. You go out of your body as often as you need to until it makes a click in your chitta and you understand. Okay, that's just a body. What's that? It has nothing to do with me. But the moment I enter this body, it seems to be me completely. I'm completely taken in by this body. Yes? We think, we are the body. We feel as the body. We act as this body. We take it for granted, and that's why most of us are afraid the moment it dies away or it gets sick. Just getting sick, shows us our concern about it. Because then actually we act according to, we have so much compassion for this body that when the body is sick, we feel so sad. So much compassion for this body. It's so sad. That this body is so sick. Our tears grow. Or we can put the body, just like an example of in the suttas of the Lord Buddha. Take the body apart into bits and pieces and put them in front of you until there's no place, where you sit. All the body parts are in front of you. You can put them orderly out there, just one by one, or you just put them in a mass until all body parts are in front of you. But you have to see them with your eyes. And then the moment the last body part is removed, there's something strange happening. And if you're aware enough, you see. You will see there's a difference between the chitta and the body. I mean, whatever your ability is, use it. And that is all. That's the first three fetters. For some people, doubt is a big fetter. For other people, the silas is a big fetter. But for all of us, the body is a big fetter. Some of us don't have any problems keeping the 5 silas, or have no problems, in believing in rebirth and karma and heaven and hell. But they have the problem, that they identify with this body. And don't get fooled, because the older the body gets, the less we want it. I mean, because the more it makes trouble, and of course the less attractive it is. But the more we tend to remind us of our youth, when we were young, and when we were doing this, and when we were doing that, how much fun we had. And that, of course, already, knits the path, to the next rebirth. Just not, just don't imagine, that just because you get old, your body, okay, there's no fun in that. I mean, where's the fun in an old body? I mean, wherever you go, it aches. And even when you lie down, it aches. It gets sick very easily and heals very, very slowly. I mean, where's the fun in it? But when we were young, we didn't have that problem. So we tend to think, the moment when, well, what did I do? When I was 20, I was traveling there, and traveling there, and doing this and doing that, all these kind of fun things. So we need our path to next rebirth. Because we want to have a young body again. Forgetting, that we were born, that we were raised, that we were educated for 15, 16 years. Forgetting that we first trained, to digest. Because the moment, the moment we were born, whatever came into our mouth, so it came out of our after. We had to learn to digest. The next thing, we had to learn to walk, then to talk, and then to think. And thinking took a long time. until we were ready with 15. Or some of us, finishing university 25. 25 years, we learned to train, we trained this body. Nothing else, this body. 15 to 25 years we just trained this body and suffered a lot, Not being able to walk, always stumbling over, not being able to sit, not being able to talk so that other people understand it, not even being able to converse with others. When the elders said, what you younger people out of here? You don't understand. I can remember a situation where I was pissed, even when my brothers and sisters, my older brothers and sisters said, that's not for you youngster. It's nothing for you to hear. And you feel frustrated. That is dukkha. When you want to walk and cannot walk. When you want to talk and cannot talk. When you want, to converse, use your brains, and you cannot use your brains yet. Because you have not really completed the task. You have not really trained it good enough. And then, of course, you learn to use skills, Manual skills or skills of the brain. In order to earn money, to keep this body healthy. And when it falls away and dies away, in the next life the same thing. Wow. This is just so, it's just so appetizing. Just thinking about it in this way. Doing this all over again. And it's not our first life. We have done this, not only 100 times. 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, maybe even 1,000,000,000 times. And we want to do that again? We really want to do that again? Go through all these troubles? Face up with a karma that we don't know what is coming up? None of us had a princely life or princess life. We all had worked, most of us had to work quite hard. Just for maintaining this body. And when we look at the world, what it is doing, mostly it's working, it's putting all its energy in maintaining this body. Keeping, feeding this body, clothing this body, keeping it healthy. In the end, all our energy is lost. That we put into this body. It's lost. Doesn't have any value. It's just like the money that we gather. The moment we die, it's gone. No matter how much or how little we gather. So all the energy that we poured unnecessarily in this body is lost. It's just like these stupid Germans, they care so much about the outside of their car. They never care about the driver, to teach them to drive carefully. That would be much more worthwhile for the car to have a careful driver than to have a reckless driver. Isn't it? So, and who is the driver of this body? The chitta, nothing else. And of course you don't see it. And even if you can't see it, we don't want to see it. We don't want to understand. Because it goes against our belief system, and not only against our belief system, but it goes against the belief system of all our friends and families and, colleagues. Who in the West now believes in rebirth? It's a very It's a minority. So let's think. For your own sake, you don't do me a favor. Don't think you do me a favor. You do yourself a favor. Think about what is worthwhile in your life and then pursue it to the utmost. That's it. I mean, I don't say, I just tell you some things and then you can decide for yourself. I don't say you have to do this or you have to do that. I mean, think about it for yourself, what you think it is worthwhile, and then go and pursue it to the utmost. I mean, if you want to go to heaven, it's up to your choice, then do the utmost for going to heaven. If you want to go to hell, you don't have to do anything, you go there automatically. If you want to become reborn as a human being, there are certain things that you have to do. Okay, then keep it. Keep the 5 precepts and try to be a good person. Okay, if you can move just a little bit so that you can go into it. But if you want to enter the stream, want to enter a safe haven, then just do it. From now on, I mean, where there is a will, there is a way. I mean, just thinking, now we are old, we can't make it, that is not going to work. It's a nice honey voice that, yes, now you're too old, you can't do that. Next life. Do it next life. No. I mean, our chitta is as young as ever. The chitta is not getting old. The chitta we can still train. The body might get old, but that doesn't mean that we cannot train. The chitta needs to be trained. The driver of the car needs to be trained. Not to be reckless. To be considerate. To be careful with what he's doing, how he's driving. Not to be mindless and reckless. So it's up to you, make your choice. But then keep to it. Not just because you face one difficulty after the other, then just give it up. No. That's not German. German, you just go through. What are the prejudices about the German? They have no sense of humor. That's true. I mean, they're so deadly serious. But actually, humor is a great way to teach. When you remember the times of the king, I mean, the advisors of the king couldn't tell the king the truth because he didn't want to hear it. So there were special jokers who actually, if they were clever enough, were able to tell the king the truth in a joke so that he saw the point. I mean, the moment you press something to the point, I mean, it is fun. And the king saw it. And there was always jokers at the kings of the court of the European kings. Just being able, advisors couldn't tell the truth, this is not good, this is not good, but a joker. A person, who made that who made that point, of our stupidity so funny, that even the king had to laugh about it, then he saw the point. So that was an art. It has been lost. I just remember this because when I meet Thais, I said, why do you have humor? You don't normally find Western people who have humor. They cannot laugh about themselves. They are so deadly serious. That's what I remember. And also, another thing I remember. I was so funny. I was just 25, somewhere in the States, studying, bringing my German girlfriend home, to her apartment. Somewhere in the States, middle of 3 o'clock in the night, completely clear sky, all the stars lighting up. Instead of saying goodbye, I said, wow, life is such a joke. It just came out of my heart, Oh. I never forget the response of my girlfriend. She was so pissed. How can you dare to say that? Life is not a joke. At the moment I saw it, it was really funny. It was, it was so crystal clear. It was all a joke. A bad joke. The way we suffer is a bad joke. It was a joke. And now when there are a few Germans and I teach in German and I can't even be funny. I don't even know what kind of words to use to be funny. They seem to be so serious, that even their language has an opportunity to be funny. It's interesting, isn't it? Are they lost? I don't know. She found it? Did you go down to the house? Did you find the Buddha in the house?
Do I find the Buddha in the house?
Did you find the Buddha in the house? Was it in the house?
Well, it took the place. I was suffering from homesickness, which I was doing. And it certainly took the place of that. I suppose it was in my fault. Stopped it aching.
Kunjin should make you some noodles so that she doesn't get so homesick. Pasta.
She didn't see anybody. I didn't know that she can.
Oh.
For 3 days, she has to be every day. So she felt homesick. And then she trying to investigate why she's homesick. And then somebody started.
But that was years ago, or not now?
Just few days ago.
Didn't I tell you she was coming on the 17th?
Yes, but the maid, she said she was going to arrive on the 19th. And then so yesterday when I went to see her, she has already arrived. She was suffering from homesickness.
That's interesting. Homesickness. That's interesting. So what can we... instead, not only that the Germans have no sense of humor, what else are they called? They're called crowds for the Americans. The other thing is that, wherever they go, they take their food with them. When they go to Bangkok, they go into the beer garden or in the sauerkraut. sauerkraut is sour cabbage, if you don't understand. Tom Lehrer had some funny jokes about Germans. But what about Americans? Huh? They're dull, and they're grown-up children. All prejudice. Huh? I mean, when the Americans see just like children, see another nice toy in the hands of another children, they take it away if they're stronger. That's Americans. What about British? What can you say? I mean, most knownly, that they have no taste. They don't have any taste. Their food is the worst kind of food in Europe. French, I don't know. I forgot about it. Italians are lazy.
I just know about the soup.
Huh?
I just know about the soup.
The soup?
Yeah.
What is the soup?
One British, one French, and one German.
Oh.
Went to the they ordered three cups of soup and then three fries dropped into three bowls. The British just stopped eating and immediately the German took the fries out and then eat it. The French eat them all.
That must be a British dog. Well, each country has its good characteristic tendencies and its bad characteristic tendencies. I mean, the British invented the concentration camps. The Germans used them to kill off the Jews that nobody liked. So. But that is not the point that I'm going to make, or that I want to make. I mean, every country knows about its own prejudice by other countries. I mean, the moment we hear it, how do we feel? That's the point that I want to make. Are we aloof? Are we above these prejudices? Are we about our national characteristic tendencies? Or are we attached to it? That's the point. So whenever you hear some prejudice, just listen to your heart what it tells you. I mean, if there's some sensibility touched, then and you're attached to something. That's a good way. To learn about yourself. I mean, of course, different countries have their different characteristic tendencies, and that's why we were born in these different countries. Because we look, our characteristic tendencies. Thank you. Our karma, is going to look for a similar karma, and that's why we were born in this country or that country, and that's why a nation becomes, has certain characteristic tendencies. Not because it's group karma, but it's individual karma that select to be reborn in the same areas that are countries or nations. Yeah, that's all. So there's nothing wrong to be a German or British or French or whatever. But we have to deal with these things that other people think about. So the first thing that we get out of our country, we hear a lot about bad things about our country, but we don't hear it within our country. Now, we have to learn to deal with it. And we can learn to deal with it, not then, once we... The best education actually for each one of us, especially Europeans, but also Americans, all the Westerners, is to live in another country for a while. I mean, it makes quite a difference. I mean, we learn a lot, about our own values and see if our own values are still, are they worthwhile or are they not better if we forget about them? Because we see other countries or other nations living on different values. But as long as we are within our own kind, we think these values are just the top of it. Just like the West thinks that it's the top of the world. That's why 600 million people, rule the rest of 5.5 billion people with their economic or war machine power. Who is in the economic, advisory? Except for Japan, it's only European and Western countries. Who decides who is the first world? Who decides who is the second world? Who decides who is the third world? Interesting. A new definition for first world. What could it be? Avijja is in full rage. Greed and hate is without any border. First world. Isn't it? Very close. Second world, it's a little bit milder. Third world, it's better. Completely different definition. We came here to Asia not to find Buddhism. We bring it back, Jane forgive me, we bring it back to the West like the British brought the temples and the pyramids of Egypt. The treasures of the country without even understanding the principles of it. And we make a mess of it, of Buddhism. As it comes to the West, what we see, we go there for a year or for 2 years, we learn about Buddhism in India or in Sri Lanka or maybe in Vietnam or in China or wherever we go. Different kinds of Buddhism, we bring it back to the West and we declare this is Buddhism. And then we have British Buddhism, German Buddhism, French Buddhism, and so on. Italian Buddhism, there is no chance. That's a revolution against the Pope, That is just not going to happen, isn't it? No. It's a mainstay, literally. It's the mainstay of the Pope, Buddhism hardly can grow. So we bring that Buddhism, But actually what we bring is our understanding of what we think is Buddhism. Back to the West, then re-evaluate, strip it of all what we think is cultural values, and then we define that as Buddhism. In German they do it the bureaucratic way. They find what is it called? Find a union or found a union? Build a union. It's a Buddhist union, and then they put everything under this Buddhist union. And everything that, goes through German bureaucratic mills, at the end it's dead. Think about it. What we normally encounter in the West of Buddhism is not actually what is taught here. It's what we think. What we think, we understand what is taught here. That's what we bring back. Then it's discussed with others who maybe have been to the same place, and then an agreement is formed, and that is it. Does it have anything to do with Buddhism? Does it have anything to do with the Buddha's path? Can we call ourselves really Buddhists? I mean, that is the question we should ask ourselves. I mean, I know they criticize me for being so critical about the West. I'm a Westerner. Can I not be critical about myself? About my own attitude? About my own education? About my own upbringing? Of course I can. Because I was brought up. Actually, I learned 5 languages. 4 European and 1 Asian. I lived in 3 different countries for a while, for years. I learned different cultures of different Western societies. So am I not in a position, to be critical about the Western attitude that I met? Of course I am. And I lived here in Thailand for 14 years, or nearly 15 years now. Meeting a lot of Westerners, meeting a lot of Western monks, and seeing. I mean, how many Western monks, have lived as long as Ajahn Panya here in Thailand? Only Ajahn Panya and Ajahn Cherry. Ajahn Tomato lived, I don't think he lived more than 5 years with Lumpur Chang. Then he went back to England. Wasn't it? 5 years or 6 years? 9. Also, so it was 9 years. Okay. And the other Western monks? 2 years, 3 years, 6 years, then they go back to the country and write books about, what is Buddhism. The Lord Buddha teaches us, if we want to understand somebody, I mean, we have to live with this person, or we have to live in the culture. I extend it now to a culture for 12 years before we can actually understand, before we actually can judge it. But most of the Western monks who go back to the West, just train here for 1, 2 years, 3 years, they go back and bring some sort of wrong Buddhism into the West. And it's a pity, Because people there in the West are ready, to take up Buddhism, if it would be fresh, Just like fresh bread, it's much easier or much more enjoyable to eat fresh bread than stale bread. I mean, just think about, we brought the suttas, the suttas are translated into English and I think German at nearly about the same time. The suttas of the Lord Buddha. I mean, a Buddhist, if you know, I don't know really a lot about suttas, but some stick out, and some suttas I read, I never forget. Just like the simile of the raw salt. I mean, I find it's such a beautiful sutta that tells us, if we are really disciples of the Lord Buddha or not. When it says, if 7 bandits, bind you down, and one of them takes a raw saw and cuts you into pieces with this raw saw, bit by bit, and you have any form of anger or ill will against this person, you are not my disciple. Oh. Then I ask you, how many Buddhists are there really? I mean that, if the Lord Buddha, says this or teaches us this in the sutta, and it's not the only time he mentions things like that. I mean, what do we, when I look, what is taught in the West, what do we really understand about the teachings of the Lord Buddha? And, of course, every one of us knows it's difficult to do. And a similar thing actually exists in the Sermon on the Mount from Jesus, If somebody hits you on the right cheek, hold them up the left cheek. It's not as strong as that, I mean, probably much easier to do, but for us as Westerners, it's much more difficult. I mean, so who of us is Buddhist? Who of us cannot have ill will if somebody, I mean, just a little thing, just punches us, or says some hard words against us. We instantly have ill will against this person. So we cannot all actually call ourselves disciples of the Lord Buddha, can we? Hard words. Tough training. Tough undertaking. To get down to that state where you actually can blow, and have compassion for the person who gives you that blow. When you actually can feel compassion for the person who murders you, or even for the person who rapes you. Because that is what the Lord Buddha asked from his disciples. Not to have ill will, not to have any form of anger against one's enemy. Because he is the one who does not understand my teaching. And this, of course, to get to that state of being, we have to use a lot of wisdom. We have to train a lot of wisdom. And where does it all boil down to? The symbol of the soul, the body. Being murdered, the body. Being raped, the body. Being punched, the body. So we have to understand the true nature of the body. To understand, that there is actually nothing, no ill will against us. We have to understand karma, to see that there is no ill will against us. That is all. The only thing that is coming back to us is that what we sent out before. It's the boomerang that we send out that comes back to us. But of course we forget it because it was a long, long time ago. So we struggle with this, we struggle with that. It's really, sometimes, Conin, sends me sometimes, some of these mails, sometimes other things. And when I then start to read in these Western Buddhist blogs, or Buddhist, newspapers or Buddhist, institutions, I get sick. I really get sick, I really don't understand. Do they really understand what the Buddha's teaching is about? The Buddha's teaching is about Sila, Samadhi and Panna, isn't it? About the Four Noble Truths. About Anicca, Anatta, Dukkha. About the Four Elements. About Avijja. About the Citta. About the Five Khandhas. That's it. To understand that clockwork, that mechanism of the clockwork that makes us, or that makes I. It's principle. If I have a clock, with no pointers, and somebody stamps on it, I don't mind. Because it has no meaning at all. But if it has pointers, and if it points to 2 o'clock, it has a meaning. Somebody stamps on it, he cracks my time. Or he devalues. The same thing with the body. As long as I think, the chitta and the body is the same thing. Somebody does harm to my body, of course I think, it's somebody else who does the harm. But if I think, the moment I investigate and get the experience that the body and the chitta has nothing to do with it. It just inherits it. It's just a house, you can lock up your house and go. The moment it, falls apart, you leave your house, build a new one. If you can't renovate it anymore. Or with a car, if you can't fix it anymore or mend it anymore, you just bring it to the scrapyard. That's it. You don't feel sorry about that. And just get the new car if you have enough money. You feel only sorry if you don't have saved up enough money. Because then you have to walk. And for a passionate driver, that is hell. Coming back. So the big thing is the body. The big thing is our misunderstanding of this body. What is its form? What is its function? What is its meaning? Why do we associate with it? Why do we think this is me, this is mine, and that belongs to me? Just because I can see it, just can I put it out, I can put the Coke out, I can put it down, I can put it up, But I don't associate, I don't say I am the Coke. Or the Coke and me is one and the same thing. But I say it, when I look at my arm. The arm and me is one and the same thing. It's me, it belongs to me. I see it, I touch it, I move it. So it must be me. The Coke, I touch it, I move it, I drink it, whatever I like to it. If I don't like it, I throw it away. I can't do that with the body. So it's not me. It's less me than the Coke. Same with feeling. That's the second kanda. That's the second group. I don't invite the feelings, come here. Most of them I don't like anyway. Most of them are pleasant. I can observe them. I can see them arising or ceasing, just behaving on their own nature. The same with memory and association. Oh. I can observe them. Sometimes I can bring up memories, but most of the time memories just come by themselves. Thoughts come by themselves. Consciousness, is harder to control. All comes by itself. You can't control, now I want to be unconscious. Oops, am I? No. So consciousness cannot be mine. Cannot belong to me. Cannot be myself. The same with thoughts. Thoughts cannot be me. Cannot be myself. Cannot belong to me. Same with feeling, same with memory. And same with the body. Whatever I don't have complete control over, it cannot be me. Cannot be mine. It cannot be myself. The similarity of us watching this body, of watching these five khandhas, or observing these five khandhas. The simile of this, or the comparison of this, going to a movie and looking at and watching a movie, it's just the very same thing. We cannot control the characters in the movie. It was laid out, before the movie appeared on the screen. We go for it, we cry for it, we laugh for it, we get angry at it, but it doesn't change. But we still can see it, but we can't change it. Because it does not belong, this movie does not belong to us. So the movie of the five khandhas doesn't belong to us. It's playing constantly in front of our own eyes, that's why we think it belongs to us. That's why we associate it. And that's why the Lord Buddha so kindly taught us, this is not me, this is not myself, that does not belong to me. Get a grip of it. That's what He so kindly taught us. And if we attach to it, it brings dukkha. Another thing that He taught us. It brings us suffering, it brings us pain, it brings us unpleasant feelings. And it is anicca. The movie starts and the movie ends. It is born and it dies. It's impermanent. That's what He kindly taught us. So, just remember His simple teaching. There's not a lot that we really need to understand. There's not a lot that we really need to discuss. A few things, a few concepts, of course. Of course we have to understand. But most of them I mentioned already. There's one thing in our, what is avijja? What is greed, hate and delusion? These are concepts that come often, or that are used often. Greed is just a container for anything that we want, or that which we desire. Sometimes we're just interested in it. Just a slight feeling of wanting to know. Just a slight feeling of wanting to have this, or become like this, or become like this. So it already belongs into the container of greed. Hate, the same thing. Hate is also just a container for everything that we just try to avoid, that we try to get rid of, or we really hate, or we really averted to. That's hate. Delusion is that mixes up everything so that we can't see it. You can call it a fog, just going through a forest in the thickest mist. I mean, you don't see the trees. You constantly hit your head against something, and then you assume this is this or this is that. And if you see voices or hear voices, then you assume it was a person, but actually it was a tree you hit your head against. And then you beat up that person because you assumed it was that person that hit you. That's delusion. Not being able to see clearly, not to understand clearly. In the end, in the beginning, in the end, and in the beginning, comes avijja. And avijja is just simple, translated as wanting to know but not being able to know, wanting to understand but not being able to understand. Avijja and delusion are not one and the same thing. A lot of people, especially also in the West, they believe avijja and delusion are one and the same thing. But there are two different names in Pali. So they cannot be one and the same thing. Delusion and avijja cannot be one and the same thing. Because delusion in Pali is called mokkha, and in avijja is called avijja. So why have two different names for the same thing if it would be the same thing? But avijja uses all these three, greed, hate and delusion, to keep the people under, and now we come back to the beginning, to keep us as slaves of their territory. And that's why we have to fight. I mean, without a fight we don't get freedom. And now that I came back to the beginning, I can end my talk here. Interesting to me.